Hello, hello, welcome. Let me know when you're here. Make sure to say hello. I'm Teresa with Teresa Rene Art. Hope you guys are doing great today. I'm live with you on the Pentart page, and give me just a minute. I'm going to share this over to my page. Hope you guys can see me, hear me okay. Let me know. Let me know in the comments how it's coming over. It looks like it's fine on my end. I just wanted to make sure you can hear me okay. We'll give it a minute for some more friends to come on. Hello. So I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and USA. And today I'm going to be doing a Shabby Chic book stack. Appreciate you being here. If you are watching on replay, make sure to type in #replay so our friends at Pentart know that you joined us today. Yeah, hope you guys are, sorry, got a little bit of feedback. Hope you guys are having a creative week and doing some fun things. Would love to know what you're up to, where you're from, what your favorite Pentart products are. Talk to me, all the things. Would love to know you, get to know you a little bit better this morning or this afternoon. It's 12 p.m. here in Atlanta, and I know it's later than that over in Europe. So we are going to be doing, like I said, a Shabby Chic book stack. I have a couple of things kind of already prepared. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I do see some people coming on. Hi, Sandy. Hello. Thank you for joining. Make sure to say hello when you're here. If you are watching on replay, make sure to type in #replay. Okay, so a Shabby Chic book stack. We have 1 hour, you guys. So let's get going. I have done a little bit of prep work. I'm going to explain to you guys what I have done so far. Let me turn my camera down. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm going to turn my camera down so you guys can see it. Let me adjust my view a little bit here. All right, hopefully that's okay. I'm going to actually scooch over a little bit more so you can get more of my tabletop and less of my mouse pad. Okay. Sometimes this thing kind of falls around. All right. See if it looks like I'm in focus pretty good. All right, you guys. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got this stack of books, and we're going to be gluing these together and kind of making a decor piece. And I have already put some primer on there in the way of texture primer. So I have put this one on. This is the rough or coarse texture primer. And I covered this because I didn't want it to be super smooth. I wanted it to have a little bit of texture. We're going to add some more texture to it, but I also kind of served two purposes. Number one, it gave us some texture to start out with. And then number two, it gave me a white base to work with. So I did the top of this one. This one I just left blank on both sides. And then on this one, I just did the bottom. So I'm going to be gluing these all together, and they're just blank books. I'm not ruining any books here. They're just blank. And so the first thing I'm going to do, and like I said, all I've done so far was covered my books with some texture primer, some of the new wall decor products. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and get some hot glue. And I'm going to glue these guys together so that they don't go anywhere. So let me get some hot glue. You could use heavy body gel, but just in the interest of time here, so they don't slide around, I'm just using hot glue to make my life a little bit easier and making sure they're kind of lined up really well here. So there's one set glued together, and then I will get the other set. Make sure to share us out, you guys. Let's invite some other friends over to come come join us today. This is going to be a super fun project, a kind of an easy DIY. If you love shabby chic like I do, nothing beats like a fun, unique decor book stack. And I am going to do some words here, and I'm going to do that a little bit differently maybe than what you would expect. There's a ton of ways you could go about this. Probably the traditional way would be to stamp your letters on, or to, you know, maybe even put some molds, you know, some letter molds or something on here. But what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to stamp onto a piece of blank rice paper, and then I'm going to decoupage it on. And the reason that I'm doing it that way, you guys, as opposed to stamping directly on the book, is because of all this texture that I have on my book. And I'm worried that if I just try to stamp on top of this texture, that it wouldn't show up right. And then the other reason is because I really kind of want the binding of it to look like one solid piece versus 3 separate pieces that I glued together. So so that's kind of my logic, y'all. And let's see, I got to figure out, this one is the front. So I'm going to start my stamping over here. Hello, Regine. Hello, hello. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, I'm going to take this. This is StazOn ink. It's jet black, and it's a solvent ink, which isn't going to bleed when it gets wet, you guys. So it can withstand the water or the wet products of the whatchamacallit, of the decoupage glue. So we're going to glue some words, or I'm sorry, we're going to we are going to stamp some words onto our rice paper first, and then we're going to decoupage this piece of blank rice paper onto our book stack. Does that make sense? I've already got it sort of cut to size, and then kind of folded where, you know, where those seams are, so that I can get it lined up right. But the first word that I'm going to, the first word is going to be bloom. And I'm wondering if you can figure out what the rest of the phrase is based on what I start with here. I'm sure somebody can figure that out at this point. But the first 3 letters, so bloom, because I don't have an extra O, I have to just start with BLO, and then go in and do my O again. Okay. So kind of try to line that up, you guys. BLO. The other good thing about doing this on rice paper is that if you happen to mess up, you can simply just start with a fresh sheet of rice paper, blank rice paper. Okay. All right. So BLO, OM. These clear acrylic blocks are super helpful. So I have bloom here. I think I want to, I'm going to try to reinforce this B a little bit, which might be a mistake. But I think I'm going to try to make this B just a little bit darker here. Let's see if I can line that up and do it. It might be a mistake, but I felt like it was a little too light. Okay, so that looks fine. Kind of like the rusticness of that. So the next word that I'm going for, and this is just the, you guys, this is the, hey Cindy, this is the IOD Apothecary Labels stamp And we have a couple different sizes. So I'm going to do, so I did this first word a little bit larger, and then I'm going to do my next words a little bit smaller. And let me, not going anywhere. All right. Okay. So I'm going to do my next words a little bit smaller. Hey, Denise, thanks for joining. So my next word is going to be where. So who knows the phrase now? Bloom, where. I'm sure someone knows which phrase I'm using. This is a pretty common phrase in the USA. And again, I don't have an extra E, so I'm just going to have to go W-H-E-R first. So, and then W-H-E-R, bloom where you are planted. There you go. We all need that reminder sometimes. So this is going to be mine. All right. And again, the ink that I'm using, this is StazOn, and it's solvent ink, which is permanent, you guys. You can't use just any old ink for this technique, because if you use like a water-based ink, you're going to get, it's going to smear when, it's going to smear when you get it wet with that decoupage glue. So that's why I'm using this StazOn, which is a solvent-based ink, you guys. Bloom, where, and then I just need this E. And then I could probably go ahead and put my Y-O-U here, Y-O-U-A-R-E, bloom, where, Y. These little acrylic blocks with the bloom where you are planted, that's right. These little acrylic blocks that are see-through with the grid lines on them, you guys, are so helpful. You can get them at most craft stores. This one I think is from, it's a Stampers Anonymous or something. Bloom where you okay, and then I don't have enough room for A-R-E there, so let's just do the next row. We'll try to line this up as best we can. Where you, and then I need A-R-E. So I'm going to put bloom where you are, and then planted. Where are you? Hey, Gingy, how are you? Okay, and so I'm going to do A-R-E next. If you're just joining, I am using StazOn ink, which is a solvent-based permanent ink, which is what you need if you want to stamp onto plain rice paper and decoupage it onto something. This is a good technique, a good way to use all your stamps if you're a little bit gun shy about stamping directly onto a surface. This is a great way to take that fear out, because then you can stamp onto blank rice paper instead. Okay. Bloom where you are. And then I guess the next decision, I'll let you guys decide. I like the control of this one a little bit better, this block, you guys. Genji's saying IOD has a thin mount. I prefer this one. I have used the IOD one, but these are a little bit thicker and I just have a little bit more control in my opinion. But use what works for you or what you have. Like, don't go buy something special. Next decision, planted. Do we do the bigger letters or the smaller letters? So I'm going to let you guys decide if we want to do bigger letters or smaller letters for the word planted. I think it would be fun. It's going to look great either way, but y'all get to vote. I got 10 people watching, so I need 10 votes. 9 would probably be okay, just in case of a tiebreaker. So let me know if you want the bigger set of letters for the word planted, or if you want the smaller letters for the word planted. Either way is totally fine with me. Genji says bigger. Anybody else have an opinion? Do we want to go with the bigger letters? I'm leaning toward bigger, but you know, the word bloom is kind of an important word. I guess planted. Okay. So I got 2 votes for bigger. Let's go ahead and pull off our letters. Okay. I got 3 votes for bigger. Okay. We will go with bigger. All right. So let's start with the word planted. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit it all on this block. Let me see if I got a bigger block. Yes, I did. So I do have, this one actually comes, this particular block actually comes in a set of like 3. So it's like a huge one and then 2 medium-sized ones. So I am not a stamper, you guys. I usually buy tons of the IOD stamps, but I very rarely like really use them that much. So this is great for me because it's sort of taking the guesswork, if you will, of what it's going to look like if you're stamping directly onto your surface. And I've got the safety net here of the rice paper, because I'm stamping onto the rice paper instead. Okay, so I can only fit the word plant, so we'll do the rest of it. Okay, so there's the word plant. And let me try to line this up, get these small letters out of the way. Have you guys ever done this before? Have you ever stamped onto rice paper? Bloom where you are, plant. And then I need an E and a D. And again, the reason I'm doing this is, number 1, I am not that great of a stamper. Number 2, I was a little bit concerned about stamping over the top of this texture that I have here. Number 3, I wanted it to look like one solid binding. Okay. Yeah, and it's easy. It's pretty easy. So some of the retailers in the US I know have blank rice paper you can buy. I know several of the paper manufacturers, if you're in Europe, I know several of them sell it also. Okay, so bloom where you are planted. There we go. I like that. I like the way that looks. I'm going to make sure that's good and dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and decoupage that on. Figure out my letters later. Oops. All right. Now I'm just going to dry this real quickly. Probably completely unnecessary, but I'm going to anyway. I'll make sure this is good and dry. Using paint instead of ink, yep, you could definitely do that too. So I primed this morning, y'all. It's dry, but I'm just making sure. Here. Okay. So I really am liking the way this looks, and I'm going to decoupage that on just right over the top of this, right there. I'm going to use my favorite decoupage medium, which is this guy right here, the Decoupage Varnish and Glue in Matte. Pentart Chalky could work. For paint, you mean? That if you were to stamp with paint? Is that what you mean? It probably would work fine, but I would be like, I need ink because I make a mess when I try to stamp with paint. So I'm going to decoupage this right on. And I have some texture on here, you guys, which is great. And we're going to just sort of press this down into that texture. Okay. And that is looking really good. I really, really like that. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Okay. Because I've got a little bit of texture, but I didn't, my letters are still clean, like super clean. But some of that texture underneath is popping through, which is amazing. Okay. And because I use that solvent ink, my letters are staying nice and crisp and not running. And then I don't have any separation between the paper, so it looks like the binding is solid, which is so cool. So this is giving me the exact look that I was going for. And then I can even, like now, like once this is dry, I can come in and add even more texture or crackle or whatever over the top to make it really cohesive. So I'm trying to kind of running my fingernail through the middle to get that crease, but I'm not separating it, if you will. So that technique, y'all, literally just stamping with solvent ink onto blank rice paper and then decoupaging right over the top. And I love the way that looks. Yeah, to be honest, I have never, ever been successful stamping with paint. I wouldn't even try it anymore because I'm like, I know it's not going to work for me. I'm such a, like, I'm not a careful stamper. Okay, so I'm going to quick dry that. All right. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a stencil on top here. And I'm going to use some structure plaster. So what I have chosen is this one. This is a newish one from Decoratőr Queen. It was actually designed by my good friend Veta Ziadina. This one is called Baroque Rug. And we can definitely fit this middle piece and some of these quarter elements on to it. I am going to be using structure plaster to put my, to put this on. And let's get this on here. I don't want to add like a ton of, I don't want to add molds or anything to this because I do sort of want it to be kind of flat, you know, like if I were to put it on a shelf with some other real books or something, like kind of in between. So if I put a whole bunch of molds on the front, it's going to have that raised surface and it's not going to line up on a shelf if they're standing on their side. A little bit of texture like this raised stencil is going to be just about perfect for the look I'm going for. So I'm using the new structure plaster here, just using it kind of as a stencil paste. And then we're going to put a little bit of cracking plaster on this guy, make it look a little bit aged and vintage. I'm not worried about the back right now. We're just kind of focused on the sides and the top for now. This guy here. To me, like stenciling, putting products through stencil is so satisfying, and there is no shortage of products you can use on the Pentart line for stenciling like this. I'm using the structure plaster just because it happens to be right next to me. Hey, Elizabeth, nice to see you. Hello. All right, so let me pull this off. So it's nice and thick there, y'all. That actually looks really good. So let me, I'm going to dry that. And then I am going to, I'm going to dry this really good. And let me just mist this and get my baby wipes out and clean this real fast, y'all. Otherwise, because I don't want it to permanently dry on my stencil. Like I said, no shortage of products that we could have used. We could have used modeling paste. We could have used regular structure paste, etc. There's a whole plethora of things that we could have used for sure. I've just misted it with a little bit of baby wipe, and I've got these huge crocodile is what they're called, crocodile wipes, which are massive. And then later on, what I will do is I will get my stencil cleaner, the Pentart stencil cleaner, and do that. But yeah, if you take care of your stencils, they will last a very long time. All right, y'all. I'll be right back. I'm going to go run this in the sink real fast. All right, now let me get my dryer, and I'm going to dry this out. It is tough, and it's also really important to clean it all, like with a baby wipe or a paper towel or something that you can just throw away, because you don't want to put that stuff, like you want to get as little as possible down your drain. You do not want to clean all of that material down your drain. So I got a lot of drying to do here. I got my decoupage needs to get dry, and my structure plaster needs to get dry. We're going to be here for a minute. So let me know what you have going on this week, what plans you have, what you're up to. Anyone has anything fun going on today? Hello, Isabella. How are you? Thank you so much for joining. All right, that's getting nice and dry. My decoupage, because I used a ton of that medium on there, is still a little bit wet. It's getting there though. All right. What I'm going to do next, I am actually going to, because I'm going to distress this down, but I'm actually going to paint, I'm going to paint it white first with a acrylic primer. And the reason I'm doing that is because I still have some of this book showing through a little bit over that texture paste. So if I can find, I've got white paint here. I was going to say if I can find my acrylic primer, I will use that. But I also have the paint. Oh, I do have the acrylic primer. Here it is. I'm going to use this acrylic primer. And I'm just going to do like a thin coat of white here of this acrylic primer, because I've got some of that brown still peeking through. Could have done this first either way, but, and yeah, so I'm just trying to kind of harmonize, I guess, this background color before I add anything else. We're going to use a little bit of antiquing paste, or sorry, antiquing gel in black to make this super vintage looking. All right. And I'm just going to do the top for now. After the live, I will go back in and I'll clean up all the edges and stuff, you guys, because I still have these brown edges. But I'll do that after. I'm not going to do that right now. Hey, Lynn. How are you? So let me get this good and dry. And then we'll start doing the antiquing with the black antiquing gel. But before I do the antiquing gel, this has to be super dry. I was contemplating cracking paste. And I'm not sure because this element is so big. I think the cracking paste might make it look a little overdone. And I'm thinking now that I'm working on it, I'm thinking I'd rather just keep it kind of simple. All right, so this has to be super, super, super dry. Like drier than you think it needs to be. Yeah, I think the cracking would overwhelm it. So I'm not going to do any cracking. All right, I think I'm nearly there. Y'all, my power flickered a little bit. We've got lightning outside, so if I disappear, I will try to come back. My power comes on. I would say if I disappear, don't wait around for more than 10 minutes. Okay, y'all. So this is what I have on the side. It says bloom where you are planted. If you're just joining us, we stamped this with solvent ink, the Stays On permanent ink. We stamped it onto a piece of blank rice paper, and then we decoupaged that on because it's got some texture underneath. Okay, so let's get, this feels really, really dry. Let's get our black antiquing gel, y'all. And let's antique this up and make it feel a little bit vintage. I'm going to do probably more on top than I will on the sides. And again, yes, I am going to paint these white. I'll do that after because y'all don't want to see me sit here and fuss with these edges. I'm going to mist it a little bit with water. So yeah, we got it good and dry so we can mist it again. Just kind of dabbing it in there. And then I'll come back over the top with some white paint. To brighten up my stencil again. So lots and lots of water to make sure that it doesn't like dry and settle too fast, because this stuff does dry pretty fast if it's not wet. And I'll do the same, I may do the same stencil on the back, or I may choose to do something else, or I may just leave it. But we're not going to worry about the back right now. We're just worried about the front and top and sides. Okay. But yeah, it has to be good and dry. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with a sloppy gray mess, which is sort of what it kind of looks like right now. But we can clean it up. Hey, Tina, how are you? By adding a little bit more water to pull some of that texture or to pull some of that product off, and then misting and dabbing some more. Okay, so you can see the outline of that. Let's work on this side. I'm not trying to go too heavy, and I don't want to cover up my pretty words either. But I do need to put some in here to make it a little bit more harmonious, I guess. And also to kind of show this texture. The texture I used underneath was the white texture primer from the new Decor line. And because that's paper, it's going to be a little bit more absorbent, you guys, than just the painted surface. So that's why I didn't go too crazy all on it, okay? Because that is paper. And yes, it does have like a layer of decoupage glue, but it's still going to absorb more than if it was just a painted surface. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I think that looks plenty grungified. I don't want to risk starting to whatchamacallit, ruin my paper. All right, y'all. So what I'm going to do, because this is so damp, I'm actually going to do a little trick here, and I'm going to mist the other side of this book so that it won't start warping. It's kind of a little trick with MDF or cardstock or whatever. Is just mist, if it starts to warp, you just mist both sides of it. All right, we're going to make sure this is good and dry. Okay, and now, believe it or not, y'all, I'm almost done with the light here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to lay this stencil right back over the top, and we're going to brighten it up with some white paint. Make sure my stencil is dry before I do that. And it's going to line up exactly because I have all that texture there. But we really want that design to pop on top. We don't want it to look gray. So yeah, we're just gonna line this back up. See if we can find it. There we go. All right, we're gonna line that back up. Get you a stencil brush. And then I may end up doing a little bit of dry brushing too. Here's some white. Hello, Juliana. Hello, hello, everybody. All right, so I got some white, and I'm just offloading here. And make sure I'm lined up as exact as I can be. And I'm just going to pop over the top with my white paint. And bring that stenciled area kind of back to prominence. and let all that good grayness, that awesome gray coloring sort of stay underneath. Lots of beautiful texture here, you guys. And it's not like going on pure white, it's just brightening it up so that it'll really pop. Love, love, love. And then I may be able to put a little bit of this onto the side as well. Let's see here. All right. All right, so that just brightens it up really nicely, you guys. I could do a little bit more dry brushing in between there too. But then the other thing I was thinking is I might actually just sort of take, maybe I take this little edge and I do it a little bit here too, just to give some of that impression there. I think that would be kind of fun. So we just sort of add a little bit of a corner element here. Just a hint of it, just to give it a little more negative space, I guess. And that sort of blends in like it's barely visible, but it does add a little bit more dimension to it. I am going to dry brush a little bit as well because I feel like it's a little bit too dark in some of the areas. So I'm going to take my dry brush and offload, and I can even go over the white. I can even go over the stencil a little bit more. And some of that texture is now standing out, like that underneath texture is starting to come forth. And just really kind of making it look old and vintage, you guys. I think what I would do on that side piece, instead of the white, there is maybe do like a light gray or something, or just leave it. You could go either way. So very aged looking. And basically what you would do to finish this off is you could take a little white ribbon, or even some take some white ribbon, or even some like twine or something, and tie it down here at the bottom. Maybe just the whole piece. Take the whole piece. And then it'd be fun to put like a little sprig of lavender or something in there, I think. Here, let's get that. Let's get a little piece, y'all. Let's get some lavender. I have some. I just did a project with some lavender, you guys. right, look at this. Just take a couple little sprigs of some wildflowers or some lavender and tuck them in there. How pretty and dainty that looks, and just ready to kind of place on your shelf. Yes, so yes, this is something I'm doing for staging. You could also do, which is why I did it in the same kind of colorway, Tina. You're very observant, aren't you? I can't find the twine, but I had a string of twine. You could also use that to make it look a little more rustic. If you had some like burlap or something, there's all sorts of ways that you could finish this off, but that's the idea. And of course, yes, I will continue. I will keep going on this, and I'll fix my edges. I'll do something to the bottom as well, but I just love like the vintage kind of classic look of this, y'all. So thank you guys for joining me. That is all the time that I have today. I am right at 1 hour. Wow. I am even done before an hour. Can't believe it. All right, y'all. I will see you next time. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.